This is an update to one of my favorite laptops that I've seen recently, XPG's Xenia 15. This is the XPG Xenia 15 KC. It's obviously been sealed. I just got it fresh from Taiwan. You can see that's all the security seals are good. Internet who doesn't believe that any unboxings are ever real. That person, yeah. So, as I said, XPG Xenia 15. This was surprisingly one of my favorite laptops when I saw it. It's a little generic, but just to tell you how much my love of this laptop is not crazy.
Dave Lee.
Dave Lee. There's another person on the internet, Dave Lee, who loved the previous version of this laptop too. It is a 15.6-inch laptop. Huh. That box is really small. What did we get? Some stickers? I was like, is this correct? That box is tiny. That's just the interior box though. So there's basically, that's the outer box. We get the interior box. There's actually something else I want to break up before we get there. One of the problems I had with the previous version of this is the power brick. Of course, it's a standard DCN barrel charger, but oh yeah, I can already tell it's better. This power brick is not that bad because it's tiny. The power brick that came with the original Xenia XPG 15 was huge, kind of like comically large. This is actually very reasonable, especially because of the wattage. It is a 230 watt power brick. So this should give you an idea what is in this laptop. This is not a 1650 Ti or a 1660. This is a full-on GeForce RTX 3070.
Oh, you didn't pull on the,
you're right.
the anime tab.
Wait a minute. How does that work?
Pull the anime tab.
Is that? Oh, I see. Oh, okay. I like it. But does it do anything? Okay, no, it's.
I don't know. It just says "Game to the Extreme."
She watches you unbox it.
Okay, cool. Just like everybody else on YouTube.
But so I just gave away the GPU already, RTX 3070. So ain't no slouch of a GPU, right? 125 watt TGP. Also paired with that RTX 3070 is 32 gigs of DDR4. Obviously, it's in a slot because DDR4. Also, an Intel Tiger Lake H laptop. I don't know if it's an i7 or a Core i9, but basically, so basically the big upgrade is previous version was a 6-core Comet Lake. I'm going to guess this is an 8-core Tiger Lake H and a 3070. Also, let's do the ports. Let's do the ports. People always want to see the ports. You get 2 USB Type A's. These are both 10 gigs. An SD card reader, I believe it's a UHS 2 on the back. 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. HDMI 2.1, probably hooked directly to the GPU, which is good. Also, you get a Thunderbolt 4 port. Let's see if we get anything here. Yep. We get another, oh, look at that. It's even properly marked. USB Type A 10 gig port, and of course a Courageous analog headset port and a lock port if you want to chain this down to your desk or something, right? So you get a Tiger Lake inside here. Oh, what else should we go over? This keyboard is an optical keyboard, so the switches are optical, which
Good travel.
it's got good travel. Huh. It's also mechanical. So these are optical switches, mechanical buttons. Some people sort of complain about the previous version because there hasn't been a lot of separation. They were very close together. Looks like they've kind of spaced them out a little bit more due to the complaints. I actually personally had no problems with the keyboard on this. Power button.
You want to peel?
Oh, should I peel?
Yeah. Just want to see what the material is.
It is made of magnesium, I believe. I will verify that later before the end of the video. But one of the things they did is they made this laptop out of magnesium. Also, there are very few gaming laptops that give you a Windows Hello IR camera that does facial recognition. They did that on the previous version. They're doing it on this one too, if I can get this off. So it's XPG, which of course is very closely related to ADATA. They make SSDs. So they bring their A game to this laptop with the XPG, probably going to get this wrong, GameX or GAMX S70. That is a 1 terabyte PCIe 4.0 SSD rated at, I think, 7 gig read, 6 gig writes. So with Tiger Lake H Gen 4 SSDs, you are getting just insane read and write speeds out of it. So the other big update to the XPG is the screen. It's 16:9, but while the previous version had a 1080p panel, this is one of those really awesome 2560 by 1440p at 165 hertz. Yeah, so if you want more pixels in a 15.6-inch laptop, this is the resolution to get. So very nice upgrade, and as you can see, very good off access. I mentioned the Windows Hello camera. I mentioned the Gen 4 SSD. I do want to mention the other thing that, you know, you go like, well, why do you love this laptop so much, Gordon? Because I will say, if you wanted to criticize it, it is a little generic looking, right? It is kind of, this is no XPS 15 in pure sexiness, but what you really get here is an extremely light laptop. This is 3070 RTX, 8-core, just checked, 8-core Core i7 11th Gen Tiger Lake CPU, and a 4.1 pound laptop. That's kind of like what the original super light gaming laptops weighed, and they got a little older, they got a little fatter. This one is like those older ones that's just thinner, that's just lighter. 4 pounds is a big change from 4.6 pounds. It really makes a difference, and that's one of the reasons I love this laptop. It makes you go like, you know what, it's worth that extra weight. I'm getting a 3070 and a Tiger Lake H 8-core in here. So the weight is where it's at. Part of that is because this is a magnesium shell. Magnesium lets laptop makers make them a little bit thinner, maybe use a little less material, so the screen does flex a little bit, but that's worth it because at 4.1 pounds, you're almost gonna not feel this.
Does it go all the way back?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't fold, you know, to the table, but you know, it is a 180 screen, it looks like. There's also, of course, I like this in real time. This is your real time performance button. If you are, so no light, power saver, one LED is balanced, and then 2 is performance mode. This XPG laptop, of course, has an Intel logo on it. I'll show it to you again, Intel logo, because it is an Intel co-engineered laptop that they did with XPG. What this means is Intel did a lot of the heavy lifting on the engineering. XPG does some other cool stuff. One reason that really is a plus in a laptop, you know, having it from Intel in a way, is a lot of the smaller brands, to get drivers, to get BIOSes, to get utilities, smaller brands sometimes don't keep up to date as you would get out of a bigger OEM. Lenovo, HP, and Dell, they do all their work. You get everything quickly. For this laptop, if you want a new BIOS, you want new drivers, you can actually use Intel's software, a driver update service, and it will actually go and look at the Intel website for the driver, for the BIOS, for this laptop. So that's a big plus for a small brand laptop because you're getting it from a larger company at a more reliable pace than you would from small companies. So we're going to crank this up, just do a few performance benchmarks. This is not a review. But we do want to just get a feel for where it's going to fall. It is 8 cores of Tiger Lake H and 125 watt RTX 3070. So let's see if it has much horsepower. So come back in 1 second and we're going to look at some numbers. So we're back, and I just finished running a few quick tests on the Xenia 15KC. Once again, this is not a review. This is just a quick preview of the performance of the Xenia 15KC. We're going to kick this off first with Cinebench R20 NT, basically using all the cores on this 8-core Core i7 11800H. On the chart, you see red, obviously AMD, the blue, Intel. In fact, every single Intel laptop on here is also comparable Tiger Lake H laptops. You can see on here the Xenia as a Core i7 not bad. It is hanging right there with the performance I'm seeing out of bigger 17-inch Tiger Lake H laptops. Still slower than that. Also, slightly better performance in the Core i9 11980HK in the Intel reference laptop, which was built off an MSI Z16. Little bit bigger laptop, but also a little bit thinner. This laptop is lighter though. That one's got a little more metal in it. So we are seeing very good performance. One very important fact I did not mention earlier, I should get it now. The other big change with the Xenia 15 KC over the previous versions is this one uses liquid metal on the CPU. So obviously liquid metal is great, awesome, better cooling. Little more trouble for people to use when they manufacture a laptop, but XPG felt it had to go there to compete, and it's paying off here. We're seeing better performance out of a Core i9 in a different laptop. That's when you use all the cores though, and that's when I'm cranked up on the performance setting. Looking at single-threaded performance, we can see that the Core i7 is not going to beat a Core i9. Yes, you pay for a Core i9, you do get more. Generally, where you're going to get it is single-threaded performance. The performance on that Core i9 11980HK in that Z16 Intel reference platform is 608 versus 565 here. Core i7 basically is not going to give you all that. In fact, even looking at that Gigabyte Or 17G, which is in a big, fat 17-inch gaming laptop, not much faster because, frankly, you got to pay for Core i9 if you want those high single-threaded performance numbers. But this is nothing to sneeze at because, look, it is right there with almost every single AMD Ryzen 7 laptop. Ryzen 9s can outgun it, but those are Ryzen 9. This is Core i7, folks. Of course, what you're also interested in is the GPU. I just did a quick 3D Mark Time Spy test. This is only the graphics performance of this laptop. I am again running this in performance mode. One thing I do want to note, as I said earlier, this is a 125 watt TGP GeForce RTX 3070 laptop GPU, but when you add in Dynamic Boost 2.0, it's really sort of like maybe up to 140. In my chart, I'm going to show it as 140. You can consider it everywhere from 125 to 140. And in the darker green, we can see where that RTX 3070 sits. It's not bad. It is not going to stand up with any RTX 3080s. 3080s in big fat laptops at very high TDPs are the fastest thing you can get in a laptop. 3070 is not bad though. So the only other real comparable 3070 I have is an Acer Nitro 5. It's in a 17-inch laptop with a Ryzen 7 5800H, Ryzen GeForce RTX 3080 at 95 watts. I don't think that considers a dynamic boost in there for some reason, but you can basically see they're both about dead even. So 3070 on 3070, despite the TGP differences, whatever it is, about even. So 3070, of course, is better than 3060, 2060. So it's pretty decent. Oh, also, I do have one more score, and there's another 3070 and a smaller Nitro 5. Lower cost laptop, not tuned up as much as this, and you can see about 8,500. Not a huge difference from this, but still the Xenia and the 3070 is pushing it harder than that smaller, lower cost Acer Nitro 5. So gaming performance basically should be pretty awesome. Plenty. One thing I do want to show off though, this is Crystal Disk Mark. We don't always do storage performance benchmarks, but you know, XPG really wants to show off their SSD, so let's see if you're really getting all that you paid for. We are seeing, getting in Crystal Disk Mark 8, about 7.1 gig read sequential. That's a queue depth of 8, single-threaded. Writes about 5.9, so yeah, you are not going to touch that with your Gen 3 SSD. And one other thing I do want to point out on this as well is for performance. The performance center that you're going to get in the XPG Xenia 15 KC is now run by Intel. Previously, it was a suite that was branded XPG. It looks like they're going full Intel with this one, and this is the Intel NUC Software Studio. It does all the performance tuning. Let's dive in here and see what you get. You can basically set your performance modes, your fan modes, If you want your battery saver to be a little faster or a little slower, you can set all that here. And also check this out. This is very nice. There's actually a passive cooling mode, and there's also a benchmark mode, because if you just want to run benchmarks, you want those fans to go all the time. It's basically a max setting, it looks like, on the fans. That's kind of handy for somebody doing testing, I guess, with all the fans on, just to annoy you. The other thing I also want to point out is the keyboard. I really, this is one of my favorite laptops because of the weight, because of the performance to weight ratio you're getting out of this laptop. One thing I don't like is the RGB lighting in the laptop. I don't know if you can see it here. This room is fairly brightly lit. They are per key. I really don't mind the switches, optical, mechanical switches. Those are great, but this RGB is just ganky. It's just like tick, 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 tick. Let me tell you, if you worked at Razer and this was your first project, Min himself, who runs Razer, would come and fire you for doing RGB like this, because RGB matters for the people who are into their RGB. Of course, in other modes, it's not quite as in your face, but here you just don't get that smooth flow of RGB that you get just about everywhere on any gaming laptop these days. So they got to pick their game up here. Also, I'm not really a fan of these grills. There's actually a new additional intake here. These are all mostly intakes, I believe, but these sort of slats, it doesn't give you a premium feel, you know? It's just kind of like, it's like somebody just cut out these lines. You're just not going to see this in other higher end brand laptops. So last thing I'm going to close off with is price. This laptop with 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte Gen 4 drive, 3070, and Core i7-11 808 core, $2,500. To give you a comparison, a QHD Razer laptop, which is about similar size but heavier, about $2,600 with half the RAM. So you're getting more RAM, and it's for a little less money. I will say the $2,500 though, I don't know if that's a long-term price, but XPG has told me they will have an introductory price of, they're not really sure yet, but it looks like $2,200 to $2,300, which with 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte Gen 4 drive is a pretty good deal. Yeah, I can overlook the RGB for that because I like the lightness of this laptop. So $2,300 really makes this laptop competitive with a lot of those Ryzen-based laptops. Those Ryzen-based laptops give you a lot of value for your dollar because AMD really wants to break into this market. You're getting a lot of RAM, you're getting a lot of GPU, you're getting a lot of CPU with those Ryzen systems. So at $2,300, it's a pretty good deal because you're right there with most of those Ryzen laptops. Just want to give you that. And also, last spec, I didn't drop, 94 watt hour battery. That is a big fat battery. I'm going to guess, since this is not a G-Sync panel, you should get a very reasonable, 6 to 7 hours of use, real use, out of this laptop. So this is just a really great all-around, powerful gaming laptop. 11th Gen Tiger Lake, very light, and pretty reasonably priced. So again, I'm a big fan of it. I still have to run all my tests, so come back to PC World to see what they are, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna do pretty well based on what I've seen.